What's going on, guys? Nathan here, bringing you yet another Team Fortress 2 gameplay commentary. In this video, we will be discussing the shortstop for the Scout, and if it's good or bad, because in my opinion, it is very similar to the Scattergun. And one thing that I've always wondered in Team Fortress 2, ever since the shortstop was released, is what really is its damage per second? Like, does it actually output more damage than the shortstop if used correctly? Is it really meant for mid-range versus short range, like I've heard some people say? Because apparently the shortstop is supposed to be the Scout's mid-range weapon, but for me personally, it does less damage. So I've always wondered really what is the whole deal with the shortstop being not a lot of information is given in its stats. So let's talk about it a little bit. Side note, this gameplay is actually pretty interesting because I do not do very good myself, but as for our team, we do pull out a win from nowhere, so it's kind of that comeback scenario. So yeah, just something I wanted to mention about the gameplay really quick. So as I mentioned before, the shortstop is very similar to the Scattergun. Both are basically shotguns. They are very similar in terms of clip size. You only differentiate by 2 shells, and also the fire rate is fairly similar along with the reload speed, kind of, but the main difference between these two guns is the way that you reload your shells. With the shortstop, you reload all 4 shells instantly, whereas with the Scattergun, you reload the shells one at a time. So I'm just going to go on the TF2 wiki here and just kind of list off the damage for you guys, just so that we kind of represent the damage aspect of both of these weapons. So with the shortstop, there's a few stats on the TF2 wiki that I'm going to go over. It's basically the entire damage that you're going to be doing for point blank, medium range, and then long range. So with the shortstop, you have 4 pellets per each time you actually pull the trigger. Now, point blank in total with all of your pellets, actually no, let me backtrack a little bit. So at point blank, in terms of distance, you're going to be doing 18 damage per pellet. For medium range, you're going to be doing 12 damage per pellet, and then for long range, you're going to be doing 6 damage per pellet. Now, obviously, you can multiply that with the pellet count, but actually, they do list the totals of pretty much the range of damage you'll be doing at these different distances. So with point blank, you have 69 to 72 damage in total. Now 69 to 72 is a fairly accurate representation, being that you are assuming that you are hitting all of your shots, and the number randomizer aspect to the whole weapon of the shortstop is basically 3 damage. So it's pretty much 69 to 72 with a difference of 3 damage, or a margin of error, I suppose you could call it. Now with medium range, this is a much larger margin of error. Actually, there's just a lot of things to factor in. So this is, at medium range, you're going to be doing between 24 damage and 48 damage. Now you have to take into account whether you're hitting your shots or your actual pellets against the enemy, and you also have to take into account the number randomizer aspect in Team Fortress 2. So that's why this is a bigger difference or margin of error. And then at long range, you're going to be doing 6 to 12 damage. Now obviously, for this, they are assuming that you're going to be hitting maybe 1 or 2 pellets, so that's definitely understandable. We're not going to be worrying about the critical damage or the mini crit damage. You don't really need to worry about those at all. And so for the attack interval, it is 0.36 seconds, excuse me, for the shortstop, which means that it will take you roughly 1/3 of a second to cycle between shots, or the time in between that you can fire the weapon. And then the reload speed is 1.52 seconds. However, with the shortstop, we cannot really pay a lot of attention to the reload speed, or with the Scattergun either, because they just have such different ways of reloading. Now with the Scattergun, I will go over the same stats. So we have point blank, medium range, and long range once again. So there is a total of 10 pellets in the Scattergun per each time you pull the trigger. At point blank, you're going to be doing 10.5 damage per pellet. At medium range, you're going to be doing 6, and then at long range, you're going to be doing 3. So actually, if we look at this other stat, so for point blank, it says maximum ramp up for the shortstop is 150%, which means that you basically gain you acquire a 1.5 multiplier to your shots if you're up close to an enemy. So for the Scattergun, this is actually increased at point blank at 1.75. So you kind of have to take that into account, and then the maximum fall off, which also means at long range is the same for both weapons as is medium range. So what this basically means is that you're going to be doing a little bit more damage when you're point blank up close with the scattergun. So, like I said, there are 10 pellets in the scattergun, so if we go to the actual totals for the scattergun of the damage that you're going to be doing at different ranges, so for point blank we have 90 to 105, a significant increase versus the 69 to 72, and then for the medium range we have 10 to 40, which is actually a lot less than the shortstop, which is 24 to 48, that is a lot less actually, and then at long range you're going to be doing 3 to 10, which is once again less than the 6 to 12 for the shortstop. Now, for the attack interval, you have 0.625 seconds, which means that you're going to have to wait roughly 0.6 seconds in between shots where you can actually fire the weapon. And then the reload speed is 0.76 on your first shell, and then 0.56 seconds for your consecutive shells. Once again, we can't really pay attention to the reload speed in this scenario, being we are comparing two weapons that have very different reload speeds. So in summary, what does this information actually tell us? Well, it tells us a couple of things. Assuming we're going with the standard point-blank damage, medium-range damage, and then long-range damage, I think we can discount the whole long-range aspect to these guns, being they are shotguns and really shouldn't be used at long-range anyway. So if that leaves us with the point-blank damage and then the medium-range damage. So in terms of point blank, the scattergun does win that area over the shortstop, being it has an average increase of about 25 damage. Now in terms of medium range, the shortstop does beat the scattergun in that regard, being it has an average increase of roughly 20 damage. So you can compare those two numbers, an average increase of 25 damage point blank versus an average increase of 20 damage at medium range. So I'll leave that up to you guys to determine who actually wins the damage aspect of the Scout primaries. Now here I actually have two comparison clips, the same style that I did for the Beggar's Bazooka versus Default rocket launcher video, and I actually want to see, can the shortstop actually fire faster and reload faster than the scattergun, being that's something I've always wondered in Team Fortress 2. So we're going to get these rolling, and actually as these go by and come to an end in just a little bit, you'll notice that one of the guns beats the other by a freaking long shot. And once again in this video I had to do the same ammo count thing I did with the Beggar's Bazooka video, because the shortstop carries 40 shells in total, whereas the scattergun carries 38. So there we go, the shortstop is stopped at 2 shells remaining, and we see that the scattergun is still firing. So I did take a look at the video track, and it turns out that the shortstop fires all of its shots in 12 seconds less than the scattergun, or actually the same number of shots as the scattergun in 12 seconds less. Now I will actually resume the clips in a little bit, and you will actually see the accuracy that both of the guns can accomplish from about a medium range. So as you can see here, even though I am standing at different distances in both clips, the shortstop's accuracy is far greater than the scattergun, which just backs up the fact that the shortstop is supposed to be meant for medium range. And really, which gun is better? Well, naturally, and I think just out of experience, a lot of people will say the scattergun, and I would also say that same opinion, because with the scattergun, it seems like you just get more kills, and I mean, you don't see like UGC 6v6 scouts running around with a shortstop. No, they use the scattergun, and I think a lot of this reason is because scouts are innately in close quarters, and being you're in close quarters anyway, why not have the weapon that is more suited to close quarters? So yeah, that's pretty much my sort of breakdown on the shortstop versus the scattergun. It's just the shortstop is a weapon I've always been curious about on whether it actually does more damage than the scattergun in some situations, which it turns out is actually true, being at medium range the shortstop is actually better. But yeah, I suppose you have your pistol for that with the scattergun too, so we can't discount that aspect of the whole Scout equation as well. But that will pretty much wrap up the video, guys. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I put a lot of time into it. If you did enjoy the video, please leave a rating. I would appreciate that a ton. And if you're new to my channel, feel free to subscribe for more Team Fortress 2 gameplay commentaries. And hopefully I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.